Hello, I'm Dr. Angie McCartney.
And I'm Ruth McCartney.
Welcome to TeaFlix,
where each episode's intimate conversation features a fascinating guest across the spectrum of Beatles world, pop culture, Grammy winners, the music industry, chefs, producers, music stars, actors, and more. So bottoms up and join us as they spill the tea on TeaFlix. Ba-dum-bum-bum. It says we are live once again. Ta-ta-ta. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. Oh,
Cheers.
hello.
Yes, hello, we're live. See, right there.
I see. Oh, me. You
Yeah,
mean.
you.
I was looking at our producer
Oh, I see.
up in the gods.
I
That's
see,
what
I
I was
see.
doing, yeah.
Well, good morning, kids, and I hope you've got your corkscrews at the ready or your kettles on or whatever time of day it is wherever you are. It is Tuesday, the 7th of July. Happy birthday to Ringo Starr, and we're going to do a quick pause at noon to do a peace and love. To heavenly birthday to my dad, Jim McCartney, up in heaven. Doc Severinsen turns 99 today.
Oh, does he
Yes,
really?
He does.
Yeah.
And Sammy Starshine probably won't be joining us from Atlanta because it is Mr. Meyer's 90th birthday.
Oh, I know.
Happy
yeah.
birthday, Dad. So
Yeah.
today we're really thrilled to be able to get back in a reasonable time zone confluence with our dear friend, Chef James Canter. For more than 36 years, Chef James has built a career driven by curiosity, craftsmanship, and a passion for connecting people through food. Raised along Maryland's Chesapeake Bay, he grew up in a family where gathering around the table was a way of life. His earliest culinary education came while working alongside his mother and extended family in his uncle's seafood market and restaurant, where he learned the value of fresh ingredients, hard work, hospitality, and community. Growing up surrounded by the traditions of the Chesapeake shaped his respect for local ingredients and seasonal cooking. That foundation became the cornerstone of a career devoted to exploring the world's culinary traditions whilst honoring the stories behind every dish. Chef James later relocated to Florida's Tampa Bay area, where he received his formal culinary training and deepened his appreciation of the bounty of the Gulf Coast. His journey then eventually led him here to California, where the diverse cultures and innovative food scene expanded his culinary perspective and ignited a lifelong passion for global cuisine. Throughout his career, he has lived, cooked, traveled, and studied food cultures across the United States and around the world, especially Korea, continually seeking authentic traditions and techniques from the people who preserve them. As the founder of Guerrilla Gourmet, James has become known for blending history, culture, and storytelling into his culinary memorable experiences. His work's been featured on Food Network's Guy's Grocery Games, and he's also appeared on National Geographic, in Food and Wine magazine, and in other TV and media productions celebrating food, culture, and travel. And when you meet him, you'll know exactly why. His professional accomplishments also include serving as a UNESCO culinary ambassador representing San Antonio and Texas during cultural exchanges in China, competing successfully in culinary competitions across the U.S., and advising organizations focused on sustainable food systems, farmers markets, food policy, and culinary education. James has also served on numerous nonprofit and advisory boards dedicated to strengthening local food communities. Today, James and his family call South Korea home, kind of, but he'll tell us that story. But they still have a home there, where he continues to immerse himself in one of the world's oldest and richest culinary traditions. His extensive research into Korean fermentation, traditional markets, and regional foodways, and the historic cooking techniques have taken him throughout the Korean peninsula, working alongside artisans, market vendors, home cooks, and master craftsmen. Whether teaching fermentation workshops, consulting on culinary projects, leading cultural food tours, or developing menus, James believes that every single meal carries history and every ingredient has a story. An alumnus of the record-breaking Around the World in 10,000 Bites event at the Houston Natural History Museum, which was the brainchild and now brand of fellow Texas chef, James Beard-nominated Choctaw native Chef David Skinner. Chef James is now back in Texas until his next overseas adventure, which he'll tell us all about. And he continues to share the lessons, flavors, and friendships he's gathered throughout his international journey, offering audiences an engaging perspective on how travel, culture, and cuisine come together to create unforgettable experiences. One and all, please welcome Chef James Canter.
Hello, James.
Hey, how are you, ladies?
We're fabulous. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time. You're a busy man.
Man, I tell you what, that was one heck of a intro. I can't wait to see this guy come on.
Can't wait to meet him.
That's weird. Sorry.
Put in a good word for you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I got my tea. It's iced tea for TeaFlix Tuesdays. So
Oh, good
Good.
boy.
Jolly good.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
So-
we've got our wine for Wine Wednesday.
Yeah, we're
Ready for tomorrow.
already in a different time zone.
you,
You
got,
see.
you guys are living in the future, man.
Oh,
Living-
yeah.
Living the
always.
dream, baby.
Right on.
Yeah. Now, listen, you grew up along Maryland's beautiful Chesapeake Bay, didn't you?
I
But,
did.
Yeah,
It was a.
What were your
what are
earliest?
your earliest memories of food and gathering around the table?
Well, I'll tell you. I was. I grew up along one of the tributaries to the Chesapeake Bay. It was the Big Elk River. It's just the northeastern corner of Maryland, and my uncle owned a seafood restaurant and market, and it was kind of the fancy restaurant in town, but it wasn't super fancy. It was just it was fancy for our town, very small town. Which our small town that I was born and grew up in was once the marriage capital of the world. That's what it was
Oh,
considered, because at that time you did not need any blood tests to go there to get married.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, little side note, but I remember my earliest memories are roaming around my uncle's restaurant, and even prior to that I'm going to bounce around a little bit because that's what I do. um the My really earliest memories are my mother would drop me off my grandparents, my mamaw and my papaw's house on the weekend to babysit while she went out and did her you know her thing,
Right.
hanging out and having a little bit of fun, dusting the week off. And I remember having to wake up early in the morning and go start my papaw's old truck, get it warmed up, and then my grandma would already be out the door, or my mamaw would already be out the door, and we'd hop in my papaw's truck, and we would drive to the local little jail. Um,
Jane.
Yes, we'd drive to the local little jail in downtown. It was like Mayberry, Andy Griffith style.
Right.
Everybody knew everybody in the whole nine. But my papaw was a deputy sheriff, and my grandmother was a deputy sheriff also. And yes, and on the weekends, my mamaw, the only reason she had a deputy sheriff status was because she cooked in the little jail kitchen that was there on the weekends.
oh,
And she would come in there and cook from scratch homemade sausage gravy and biscuits and cornbread and buttermilk and salt bacon and pinto beans, and it would be the same few drunks in the drunk tank little jail cell that was directly connected to the kitchen. You could see them from the kitchen. And rumor had it, they would know me by name, and I still picture their faces in my head. I didn't know any of them. I can't remember any of their names, but rumor had it was that these guys that would get drunk and have their fun the night before would get thrown in the drunk tank just so they could have a good breakfast from a mamaw.
I just was going to say, lock me up, officer. take, take me to your larder.
So that was
Oh,
that's some of my earliest food memories. And then of course my uncle's restaurant came shortly after that, and my whole family worked in the restaurant, pretty much cousins and uncles, and my mom and my brothers all worked there in some capacity. And I would spend my summers there, off school. My mom would make me a little nest under the prep table in the cold department, right between the walk-in cooler and the prep department, and that's where my nest would be. And then I would go out and wander around the restaurant, and they would get bored of me for a while, or get sick of me pestering them for a while. So they'd say, if you go out to the parking lot and sweep the parking lot, we'll let you pick out any lobster you want.
wow.
And that's what I did. I would go work for my lobster lunch or lobster dinner,
Wow.
and I'd take it back and
What
get it cooked up and eat it up.
what would you say were the biggest lessons you took from that still apply today when you're either mentoring or running a kitchen or what have you?
Well, I'll tell you, I was also very fortunate that the chef that my uncle had hired for the restaurant was a CIA grad,
Okay.
and she was from the Culinary Institutes of America, and her name was Cheryl, and she was a female chef, and I remember just her patience with me was even looking back to this day, her patience with me was like saintly. And I think that's, watching her, you know, run
Mentoring,
this
really,
pipe.
isn't it?
What's
It's
that?
meant it's mentoring you, really, which you
It
pass
it
on to this day.
it totally did. Inconspicuously and just very obviously too. That I would go into this business, but she was very patient, and all the while she's running this pirate ship, giving commands and moving with intention. And then and here I am, little Jimmy. He just came back from the creek out back of the restaurant. I got caught my stringer of bluegill fish and asked, Cheryl if she would
Cook 'em.
cook them up for me in the middle of the lunch rush, and she's like, "Yes, darling, of course." Hey, you
Oh,
son of a bitch! I need another order of fries. We'll be with you in a second, little Jimmy. So that was, I think, patience was one of those things,
that's
that
wild.
really, I still didn't learn the lesson until a little bit later in life because I'm a knucklehead. But I think back about it, and that's probably one of them. But it was such a rich upbringing because they would sneak me into the fancy food show in New York City.
Wow.
When I was a kid, we kids weren't allowed, but they'd sneak me in. And I remember one of my first celebrity crushes was, I don't know if you remember back in the day, Purdue Chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Remember the tall guy, Frank Purdue? He looked like a
Yes,
chicken himself.
that's right. Yeah.
Kind of,
It's,
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
I remember meeting him at the food show and getting my picture taken with a good old Frank Purdue, and I was just like
Oh,
starstruck. The chick,
Ah,
the chicken guy.
the chicken
the
guy.
chicken.
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
my
yeah.
God.
Are there any
So
particular flavors from your childhood that you still find yourself chasing today?
oh gosh, man, I tell you, my childhood
Nostalgia.
cooking and flavor repertoire is so fleeting because it's been so
Yeah.
long since I was
Yeah.
knee deep in it. But what takes me back if I need a quick fix is a good old can of Old Bay seasoning.
Oh,
And
Oh,
I can just put that on, just, and I know it's such a pedestrian way to get that fix again,
no.
but I I'll go back to that, to a can of Old Bay, and start sprinkling on something if I want to relive those memories. And of course I try to recreate my mother's recipes, her crab imperial and her crab cakes. She had award-winning crab cakes.
oh,
But I never can attain it for some reason. I just haven't been able to get it. So the Old Bay comes in handy.
I actually use Old Bay when I make egg salad sandwiches.
Oh,
Touch
yeah, that sounds
Mhm.
delicious.
Little
That sounds great.
Duke's mayo, Old Bay, your eggs and some celery, and
Ooh,
little tarragon, little black cracked
stop
black.
it. I haven't eaten yet.
We have egg butty Thursdays around here, except we're posh. We put them on croissants,
Oh, fancy. That sounds
oh,
delicious.
little pot.
and then a
That's
little red pepper jelly, little spicy red pepper
oh
jelly.
my God.
I know.
Chef, you're killing
I
me.
Martin's like, "Shut up, bitch."
Oh, hungry.
That sounds amazing,
Uh,
actually.
That is wild.
uh,
So, what first inspired you to become a professional chef, or was there just no other option in your head, having grown up,
Oh,
in
man.
kitchens?
Well, I'll tell you, I've always enjoyed cooking. My two older brothers used to make fun of me for at Christmas one year. Most kids were getting, these Batman helicopters and uh, you know,
Yep.
toys, GI
Macho.
Joe toys and stuff. And I asked for a easy bake oven. So
oh,
that was it's always kind of been there. But I'll tell you,
That's funny.
um, what really kind of where I really started to lean into more of the professional aspect was coming out of high school. I was, for jobs, I was doing odd jobs, and I was working at different restaurants here and there.
Sure.
Mainly fast food and stuff like that. A couple seafood restaurants, but what really solidified it was I worked for my girlfriend's family's friend who opened a Czechoslovakian restaurant.
Wow.
Oh,
Interesting.
Her and my girlfriend was Czechoslovakian, and her dad was an amazing Czechoslovakian chef.
Wow.
Um,
Say that
and
eight. Say that eight
yeah,
times fast.
I
Amazing.
couldn't even get it out the first time, so I don't know how I might have a whole country coming after me, or a former country.
It's three countries now, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's three too many. But they got me a job as a dishwasher at this restaurant, and the chef was a German guy, and he was amazing, and he was super talented, and he would get in a whole side of beef, and he'd
Yeah.
break that thing down and utilize every part of it. But
Yeah.
man, excuse my French, he was a real prick. Um, he was a real prick. He truly was. I mean, he would make cat calls to my girlfriend as she walked out. She was a waitress there. As this is, I'm 16, 17 years old this time. One time I was at the dish machine, and he'd have me do prep too also. But I remember at the dish machine, I just finally couldn't take it anymore. I looked at him, I go, Hans, man, why are you such a dick? And before I got the word out of my mouth, he had somehow floated over like a vampire and had me pinned against the dish machine to my neck, and told me to shut the f up. And I said, okay. And
Jawohl,
I went back to doing my dishes,
jawohl,
and
mein
then
Führer.
yeah, I left. I left shortly after that with a little ceremoniously, but that we won't get into that unless you really need to.
Yeah, that's fine.
The um
So funny.
the
Yeah, well,
I thought, what's that?
kitchens aren't known exactly for the most even-tempered people in the world, except one
Oh,
who's just popped down from Canada, Chef Luke McCabe,
no.
10,000
oh
Bikes
yes,
is watching. Hi, Luke.
yes.
Hi, sir.
The best there is right there. What's up, Chef Luke?
I know, right? It's the
Great to see you, brother.
James T. Canter fan club all of a sudden.
Oh
Yeah, but
God, I must owe them money.
right there you go.
Probably. Yeah.
But there's been a lot of talk about verbal abuse in kitchens and this and that and the
Sure.
other. And, nowadays with all of this Me Too and whatever movement,
Correctness,
do you
yeah.
find that it's more politically correct in commercial kitchens than it used to be? Are people a little more hands off and whatever? Or is it still the same old, same old?
Well, I think it's a mixed bag, but I'll tell you this. Um, Back to the former question, real quick. I got bored coming out of high school, and it was either be a marine biologist or go into culinary school. So that's what I did.
Good grief.
And then bounce back to the question you just gave me. I would say I had a pretty good temper. I still do, but not as much as nearly as much as I used to. Um, I remember. I mean, I came up where the chefs were throwing pans at me and hit me in the head with a telephone and stuff like that. Like,
Oh,
and my mother giving them permission, because apparently she thought I needed a good knock on the head with the telephone or something.
so that's what happened.
Yes, that's what actually knocked me back into normalcy, if you call this normalcy. Yeah, I wasn't
No.
lying about being a knucklehead. I learned everything the hard way.
I remember when I was at school, if I'd come home at lunchtime and say, I got the cane this morning, my mother would get the hairbrush behind my knees and go, well, you must have deserved it, and give me another one.
Doubling it up. That's it, man.
She was getting caned by nuns and bristled by her mother.
Yeah.
Gotta love those.
That's
Canes
different
and
time.
bristles. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, gotta love those old convent schools.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
So
I'll tell you, I remember working in Alaska. I had a really big gig one time there, a contract gig, working for, I guess I don't know if it still is, but it was at that point the largest hospitality management company in the world. It's called Aramark.
Oh,
And,
Aramark.
yes, and I opened up their premier first parks and resorts property in the world, and it was in Denali, Alaska.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous. But I'll tell you, man, they worked me to the bone. I remember working 134 hours one week, and I'm not sure how many more hours there are in a week, but I
I was
was
going to say, are there even that many in a week?
You should
barely.
come and work here.
I was down to I was down to about 4 hours of me time a night for
Oh,
a minute.
Uh,
But I
wow.
remember losing my patience in that kitchen there one night, and I just came up. It was my only day off, and my crew was just really screwing up. And I came up there, and I started kicking around a bunch of bread boxes and throwing stuff, and just acting a fool. And
Yeah.
looked like a little banny hen out there running around, as my mom would say. Um, and I had one of my guys. He looked at me, and goes, "Chef, you're supposed to be our leader, our mentor. This is not how you're supposed to act." And it resonated with me. It resonated with me, like when he said that. It pissed me off a little bit, but it also resonated with me.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and I kind of some switched after that.
Wow.
And I started to be a little bit more patient, and started to, try to get people to work work with me instead of for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. No,
yes.
And
yeah,
I never looked back after that. And
interesting.
I found it to be very productive. And I think to pose these final my final thoughts on your question is, I think if people spend a little bit more time, and leaders, I mean, spend a little bit more time learning how to work with people in on their level, I think they might be a little bit more productive and harmonious, and I think the food will be happier. I think the people would be happier.
Right.
It's not always perfect, and you can't always do that, and
Right.
those people need to move along to find a better fit.
Right.
But I think, you find the right people for the job, the
Yeah.
possibilities are limitless.
Well, I always think of it when when I'm privileged enough to be a fly on the wall in kitchens doing, media and filming and all of the stuff that we do. But I always think of it a little bit like sort of an army garrison, right? You
Yeah.
you
Oh yeah,
have
very much.
it's very regimental in its in
Well,
its in
that's
its
that's
format.
that's by design. Escoffier designed it like an army brigade. They call it the
Right.
brigade system. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Speaking of boy, Denali and leaders.
Oh gosh, yes. Your career has taken you all over the world, hasn't it? So
That's
I read somewhere, or I heard that you'd cook for presidents and all sorts of celebrities.
Politicians.
What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, man. It comes with comes with the job in certain aspects. There's been countless. I used to work for one of my earlier jobs was also for Aramark. Again, I've always found myself in Aramark jobs. And it mainly came from chefs that I'd worked with in my apprenticeship through the
Mhm.
Omni Hotel. They kind of left there and went on to do their own thing, but a lot of them got into Aramark positions throughout Florida and Georgia and the South. So I'd go and work for them for a while. But one of them was running the Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center, and I got to cook for a lot of celebrities and a lot of musicians and a lot of artists that would come through there. And it was always kind of, you know, don't be fanboy about it, just do
Right.
your
Blame you.
job, and
Right.
yeah, treat them like normal human beings. So that was
Yeah.
always kind of the status quo. But yeah, I got to meet a lot of people, and
What
I got to
about
watch
politicians?
Yeah. What
what's
about
that?
politics?
What about politicians?
Are they picky,
Oh
fussy?
man, more than I could count. Also, it's I've got to cook for oh man, yeah, it's crazy. I had a mentor that was hooking me up with a job out your way, actually, at one point in at Nobu there in Santa Monica, I think it is.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Malibu. I was born in
And
Malibu.
yes, and I had gotten an apartment. My friend was moving out. My friend and his wife were moving out of their apartment in Santa Monica, so we took over the rent. And me and my current wife, which was my girlfriend at the time, I had talked her into dropping everything she knew and loved and hop in a
Uh-huh.
car to go with me and explore. And she said yes. And we were about a week out from getting ready for a move to Santa Monica, and I get a call from a headhunter asking me if I'd be interested in entertaining a possible seasonal gig somewhere. It was high profile, and that kind of perked my ears up. And I said, "Sure, let's check it out." So it was in Montana
Oh, wow.
at an Orvis lodge, hunting and fishing lodge,
Yeah, yeah.
and they said I got in contact with them, and they flew me out, and I did a little cooking thing for them that week prior to me leaving, and they said you have to be back in a week if you want the job, and that was when the week I was supposed to go to Santa Monica, and
Oh, boy.
yeah, and they
Mhm.
said, "Well, who you?" I go, "Well, who are we cooking for?" They had this big VIP client they couldn't tell me, and I go, well, I would really like to know before I came out here. And they're like, "Okay, you cannot say anything to anyone unless you, if you take the job, you can know." So I took the job, and they said it was Vice President Dick Cheney
Oh,
and
wow.
his
Yeah.
and his crew. So I said that sounds like a pretty cool opportunity. So I ixnayed the Nobu thing and
Oh, wow.
came back, and yeah, my friend was a little pissed off at me because you
Yeah, he
know,
had to find someone to rent his apartment, right?
yeah, and
Which
he
wouldn't
wanted
be
to keep yeah,
in Santa Monica. It's not hard to find a subletter.
yeah. So
That's wild.
anyway, me and the wifey packed up the car and moved out to Montana for the summer season, and we cooked um for Vice President Cheney and his crew. It was kind of the week before he shot one of his friends, so it was like not not at our lodge, but it was at a
Oh,
different lodge. It was I'm thankful for that, but
so
it was
no guanciale on the menu then.
no
Oh,
human guanciale.
no. Yeah, God. And
But
Oh,
very very nice gentleman.
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I think most of these politicians who really want to serve their country, whether they're red or blue, there are a few good ones out there that really just want to serve the people and the nation. Unfortunately, it's just the bad ones that wind up hiring the big PR firms and getting all the publicity and the Instagram followers and the clicks and the likes and the grifts and the money and the,
now
you
be
know,
careful now.
no,
Yeah.
it is what it is. The good ones get their heads down and do the work.
Yeah.
Including both sides of the aisle. Did you ever cook for a big blue person, a big blue side of the aisle?
Oh God, Big Blue. I'm not sure about president or vice president. I can recall. There's always like some questionable events that I wasn't allowed to be privy to the guests, and I wasn't allowed into the dining room. So who knows? But there was also I cooked for recently within the last 5 or 6 years, maybe more. Beto O'Rourke.
Oh yes,
He
in
was
Texas.
yeah. So yeah, so I did some work with him and his
Wow.
campaign.
Wow.
Um, and when I mean work, I was allowed to bring my food trailer to his events and
Oh.
sell food.
Well, yeah,
Um,
everybody's got to eat, right?
Great. Yeah.
yeah, so he was
It's bright.
one of the only politicians that came to my restaurant during Hurricane Harvey to help with
Oh,
serve the public. And he came there. He was supposed to have a rally there actually, and the hurricane hit, and I was supposed to cater the rally. Instead, and he had publicity team with him. He was going to do this big story about his rally. Instead, he came anyway, and he rolled up his sleeves and came to the restaurant and asked his publicity team to do the story on us and what we were doing. And in turn, yeah. In turn, that publicity was able to garner us a heap load of donations, volunteers, monetary donations,
Great.
which in turn allowed us to feed over 8,000 people in 10 days out of our
Good.
kitchen,
Wow.
which
wow.
that was very admirable. I really appreciated that, and I really appreciated what he did. He came in and he rolled up his sleeves and did it. So it was really,
Well, and
really
he
very
turned the
impressive.
spotlight on someone other than himself, which then turns
Right,
around.
right.
All food trucks rise on the same tide, right? And then you were able
Yeah,
to film people. And that is just those are the kind of people we need running for politics. I have this crazy dystopian idea that in 2036 AI runs the government because nobody wants the job. Nobody runs.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I can see that happening.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So it is. We're only halfway through here, but I would like to pause for 1 second for anybody watching. It is noon time. It is high noon in a few seconds on the left coast, and as we know, good old Sir Ringo Starr does a peace and love for his birthday, noon wherever you are. So I know it's 2:00 where you are, Chef. We got people on from Ireland and Scotland and the East Coast and Canada and Australia and whatever I see popping on the screen. So if we can just do a quick peace and love for Ringo's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ringo.
Peace and love, peace and love,
Peace and love, everybody.
And that's what it's all about. And that's, I think food brings people together.
Oh, yeah.
With peace and love.
Exactly.
Fantastic work. People like you have done, and Chef Jose Andres, God bless him. He's
he's a big inspiration of mine.
He's unbelievable. He's really, and I want to talk to you about that separately. Sure. So you were talking about your food truck, and Beto, you are the founder of Guerrilla Gourmet, and you've blended food, history, and storytelling into memorable experiences. What inspired that concept of Guerrilla Gourmet?
Oh man, it's pretty hilarious actually. It was kind of spawned in your nape of the woods out there in La La Land there. I have a buddy, we grew up in the skateboard world, and with that, there's a whole plethora of different types of sub genres that are connected to it. One of them is filming and editing and producing and stuff like that. So I had a buddy that got into more production and started running some shows on TV, and him and I had always talked about an unorthodox cooking show, and he decided to pull the trigger on it, and we started coming up with names and started coming up with concepts and filming, and started to develop a sizzle reel. And some of the distributors started to take notice in what we were doing, so he shopped it around to them, and our first initial couple of names weren't really very public friendly. They had some they weren't the best names, I guess, for the general public, but the third name that we came up with was Guerrilla Gourmet, because it was guerrilla style cooking, and it was gourmet food out of whatever you had in your refrigerator or in your pantry, and it was bringing upscale gourmet comfort food to your average Joe and Schmo that had just about anything in their fridge that were staples.
Cool.
So that's how it came about. And years later, it never got picked up. There was a lot of interest, and there was some other offshoot opportunities that I weren't too keen with. I think one of the offshoot opportunities was they loved it was MTV. They loved the idea of a cooking show, but historically they didn't do cooking shows. So they said they loved my personality and wanted to put me on a show with Omaroso and Andy Dick. And I said, hell no. I will. Someone will get strangled, and there will be lawsuits and loss of life. And I said, let's not do that one.
Oh my God! What casting director genius came up with Andy Dick on one hand and Omarosa Amagolt on the other hand? I mean,
it was one of those seasons of like a reality show they were doing, and apparently they wanted me to be one of their guinea pigs. So I tried to weasel around it, and they wanted to even send a film crew out to Montana when I was cooking at the time, because this was like I think I went back again to that Montana job 2 or 3 times afterwards for the summer. But yeah, anyway, that's how the name came about. And here, years later, I had an investor, and I was ready to open my own business. And he gave me the opportunity to either do a brick and mortar or a food trailer, a food truck, and I wanted to start small, and so I could make a lot of mistakes. And I said, you know what? Let's just do a food trailer, and let's do the same concept that we based the show on, the pilot on. Call it Guerrilla Gourmet, and here we are.
Huge. It was huge. Now, didn't you used to do like drag brunches in San Antonio? Was that part of the Guerrilla Gourmet situation?
That was Some odd years later, I started picking up like contracts to do food management out of places that don't normally do food management. So one of those places was called Paramore here in downtown San Antonio on the Riverwalk. And they do it's a very controversial place in a lot of ways, not just because it does drag brunches, but because the ownership and, there's just a bunch of political weird things going on there that I tried to stay out of, which I did very well. But yeah, so it was a drag brunch. It was one of San Antonio's only drag brunches at the time, and some very, very talented artists were running that end of things, and we would design our food menu over according to their theme. Like one week would be Selena, or one week would be like Fifth Element, and we would design our menus the best we could according to those things. And it was pretty popular.
Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. You're serving kangaroo, right?
Yes.
Because I remember when you were working, you came to work with David Skinner and crew on the 10,000 Bites, along with Luke McCabe, who's watching, and a host of others.
Great bunch of chefs.
And great bunch of Manu Bafara flew up from Brazil.
Amazing.
Aaron Bluedorn hadn't even opened his first restaurant yet. He was still getting ready to do that. Yeah.
Wow.
And Sherry Sagari from Lulu and Ruby, how the hell she put all of that together and set the table for 110 people. I never forget when Skinner called me with the concept and said, can you fly out and film this? And we'll make what we thought was going to be a series. And then, of course, COVID hit. But he was like, I'm going to do 101 courses for 100 people. I'm like, 101 courses? He's like, what's the 101st course? And he said, well, I'm going to 3D print a chocolate bookmark for the program in case they're hungry on the way home. I mean, did you see well, of course you saw the amount of food you made it,
Well, I'll tell you, I was also wondering how he was going to pull this off, and he kept it kind of under wraps till I got there, and then it all made sense. He devised this plan to streamline this amazing gathering of chefs and the food produced, and it was really such a cool way that he did it, man. Just it was really a neat event. So blessed to be a part of it.
Do you know?
And that's where I met you guys.
That's right, absolutely. If it wasn't for you saint, we would not have been able to serve Mrs. McCartney's wine as the final dinner aperitif. We had Maharishi peach wine to go with the final dessert, and they had run out of glasses, and there was, of course, no kitchen at the museum, which we didn't find out until 20 days before the event. Sherry and David went to do a walkthrough and said, "Show us the kitchen," and they're like, "Oh, we don't have a kitchen."
What kitchen?
We've got 46 chefs coming to town from all over the world, and you don't have a kitchen. So Sherry had a brainwave, and she went over to her buddies. Brandon was working over there then at the Zaza. And we said, if we book everybody's rooms and we buy a ton of rooms from you, can we have a little corner of the kitchen? They were like, well, how little? And we said, little enough for 46 chefs. And they're like, oh, we'll just take over the whole den. Do you remember? And then that afternoon, the heavens opened and the power went out. We lost power for 2 hours.
Right.
I mean, I had to drag chefs, including probably you. They were in there with super sharp knives in the pitch dark with iPhones, flashlights, like taped to their heads. Chopping away in the dark. It was just mental. It was so hot.
The wine glasses.
Yeah. So coming back to the wine glasses, we had no way to to have enough wine glasses there, and they came to me and said, "I'm so sorry, but we're not going to be able to showcase Angie's wines at the end of dinner." And
unacceptable.
And you said that's unacceptable. And you and me and Martin loaded up these crates of wine glasses, and we raced across the street in the pissing rain to the Zaza and put them through the dishwasher in your truck. And this man has the most genius thing. So he's got two pieces of plywood screwed to the back of the bed of his pickup truck. Yeah. And I'm like, what are they for? And he said, that's where you put your welly boots. And I'm like, what do you mean you put he said, yeah, you hang them upside down so the rain doesn't get in them.
Oh, lovely.
We had your pickup truck full of wine glasses, and we got him back there quick, smart, in time to serve Mrs.
I
McCartney's wine.
remember that. That was
All thanks to you.
Yeah.
no. Well, I appreciate it, man. Anytime I can pull the gorilla out, man. Let the gorilla out of the cage, so to speak.
You be careful with the bottle. No,
Out of
you
the
just
cage.
never know with these two.
That's crazy. So,
Well, I'll
we
tell
had
you, man. In that spirit, that was that is the spirit of Guerrilla Gourmet and the whole business. It still is a business to this day in not physical form, but in legal form and all that stuff. But that is the spirit of it. It's telling when most people say no, we say yes, and that's it's a challenge. I didn't know that is my ADHD coming front and center.
Yeah.
Who would ever design a business around in your ADHD issues, huh?
well, you know what? If it works for you, I mean, Elon Musk did okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. Who
Steve
knows?
Jobs.
Guerrilla Gourmet in Mars.
Yes, Gorilla Gourmet.
There you
First
go.
restaurant, first food truck on Mars.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, I'll tell you what, you often say that every ingredient has a story, don't you? Do you want to share with us one ingredient that completely changed the way you think about food?
Oh my gosh!
Old Bay
One
seasoning.
ingredient.
Old Bay
yeah,
seasoning.
Old Bay.
Or as my sous chefs used to call it, your old man spice. Old man spice.
You should
Yeah.
copyright that. Put it.
The one ingredient. Good Lord, you ladies, you got some of the toughest questions sometimes.
I know, right?
With the
One
toughest
ingredient. The one ingredient.
Is the one that you couldn't really live without. I mean, I always start with an onion and a glass of wine, of course. I always start with everything. I don't
She
care.
means a vat of wine, actually.
It could be scallion. It could be a red
inspiration comes in many forms.
Indeed.
I would say curiosity is the ingredient.
Ooh,
I would say
good
having a healthy curiosity of not only ingredients, but their origins, their practical uses, in their cultural significance. Their place in the past, their place in the present, where you could see them ingredients going. Curiosity is probably the number one ingredient I'd say you can't live without.
Yeah.
That is fabulous. And obviously, in your many, many roles that we talked about today, you've also served as a UNESCO culinary ambassador, which is an extraordinary honor. I mean, congratulations.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What did that
couldn't believe it.
experience teach you about the role that food plays in international diplomacy? I mean, they say you can't march an army on an empty stomach, but you also can't create peace on empty stomachs, can you?
No, you can't, man. I think food is probably one of the most important aspects of our human bond. I think it's the common denominator. It's the common thread that ties us all together.
Yeah.
I think I'm sorry, what was the question again?
No, yeah, it's what did that UNESCO experience teach you
Oh, yeah.
about the role that food plays in international diplomacy? Because you
Right.
have obviously some people keep kosher, some people eat halal, some people are vegan, and you kind of have to respect each and everybody's lane when it comes to food, don't you?
You absolutely do. I think like diplomacy and like like diplomacy, I feel like not everybody's going to get everything they want out of a deal.
Right.
So I think that's the same with food. You're not going to get everything you want out of the deal, but if you keep an open mind, you might discover something different and new that appeals to you, and you might discover something that you're definitely not into. I think it's the open mind part of keeping an open mind when it comes to food or diplomacy or anything is really important. I think when we have preconceived notions of what something is or should be or how it should be, I think that's where we start getting in trouble. So I think an open mind is probably is what I learned a lot about the UNESCO
Experience.
opportunity. I think that
Yeah.
was yeah, I think that was a very key thing for me with that opportunity. I was ready for it at the time too. I think it was perfect timing for me, and I think I was very blessed to have that opportunity. Yeah.
That is
Okay,
incredible.
yeah,
So, I mean, obviously, UNESCO is a World Heritage and cultural and whatever. It's not just, it's global. And you have had quite the last 4 years, haven't
yeah.
you?
Well, what originally took you to South Korea? And, what was it about the food culture that captivated you so completely?
Oh man. Well, my fascination with Korean culture and food started as a kid.
Oh,
I was the doctor that delivered me was a female doctor, a Korean American doctor, and
Wow.
her name was Dr. Shu, and she was my pediatrician till I was 12 or 13 years old. And I remember her going to Korea every year on vacation. And she'd come back and she'd bring me little Korean toys or little trinkets and little souvenirs
oh,
that
mm,
I thought was really, really cool things to have. None of my other friends had cool little trinkets from Korea. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought I was pretty badass little young man. I was like, I'm pretty international here, like,
And we had a
um,
couple. We had a couple of Beatle fans called Tomoko and Katuko
oh,
in Japan in the '60s, and they used to send me these beautiful silk geisha dolls and things.
oh
And so
wow, very cool.
I totally get where you're coming from, because I was the kid
Yeah.
when I had little girls over for a tea party to play. That would be all they'd want to see is my Japanese doll collection, because
Oh
they
yeah.
never
Yeah, they
mind the
were.
fact my stepbrother was in the Beatles. Screw that. You're cool because you've got these
Had a
Japanese.
little part,
bedroom, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So wow,
but
that is interesting. So since a child, huh?
yeah. So and I remember also in for some reason in you know school, what are they called,
Sixth grade,
not
eighth grade,
preschool, I guess,
kindergarten. Yeah.
yeah. It's for some reason we had a project where we had to create these little books, and the teacher would give us the paper, and we'd have to draw and write down whatever subject matter we wanted on the pages. And at one point it was Korean was the topic. And so I started writing in Hangul, which is the language of Korean language, the alphabet system. And I would, I remember specifically in crayon drawing a plane, and then writing the words in English, plane. And then the teacher would help us draw it in Hangul, the word for plane. And then
Wow.
she would take all these pages and bind them into a little book with a little cover, and we had these little books. Yeah, it was a really cool moment. And so that was something I carried with me for many years. And then when I became a chef, I was introduced to Korean food in Tampa, Florida, through some other chefs. They took me out and said, you got to try this place," and we did. And that's when it was just like, okay, that's pretty
Never
cool
looked back.
food. Yeah, and then what took me to actually Korea was my wife is an educator, and she had been trying to get this job with the Department of Defense
Mhm.
as a teacher on the military bases, assisting military families, teach their children while
Well,
they're stationed throughout the globe.
yep.
And I remember, my wife grew up overseas. She was a military kid. Her
Yep.
father was NSA and Air Force, and she
Wow.
grew up in Asia quite a bit. And one of our goals was to get our kids overseas so that they could expand
Mhm.
their perspective on culture
Fabulous.
and life and
Yeah.
Fabulous.
things. And I remember, she getting turned down for this job a couple of times, and finally I told her, just try one more time. Just go ahead and go for it. You'll get the job. You can't not get this job. So finally, she did, and we had booked a trip to Europe, and it was like our first time taking the kids overseas.
I remember.
And it was very expensive, but we were like, it's now or never. The kids are getting older. We need them to see this.
Right.
And it was really a goal of ours. And we booked the trip and, put the money down on payment system. And we had 5 countries booked, and we got over there, and that's when I was asking you about London, the Indian sector
That's
in
right.
London.
I remember. Yep.
Yeah. So while we were over there, she got an email saying that she went to the final interview process. So she had to stop what she was doing, get online, and do an interview while she was in, I think, I don't even know, France or something. And then a few days after that, they had emailed her that she got the job. And
Fantastic.
we were a month. It was a month vacation, and we were, I think, 2 weeks into it, and they told her um, that her station was going to be in Korea, and she had to be there in 1 month.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
Oh boy.
Finally, your timing worked out, unlike the Santa Monica, Montana
yeah,
adventure.
but we still had another 2 weeks of vacation, so it was like literally she's going to have to get there,
Get
and we're
home.
going to have to
Back.
liquidate, you
Yep,
know,
I remember.
4 businesses, a house, 3 storage garages, and so it was crazy,
5
but we did it.
gold rings for calling birds. Yep.
but yeah, we did. We got it done, and me and the boys, we came back. Or we met her a month later,
Right.
and we spent last 4 years in Korea exploring Korea and the Korean culture and
So,
all that. Long story long.
there you go.
Now, your research into Korean fermentation, temple cuisine, and traditional
Yes.
food ways, it's taken you deep into local communities, hasn't it? So, was there one experience that completely changed your understanding of Korean culture?
Or is it just a seepage that kind of
Or
like
was it just
like a fermentation?
yeah,
It definitely was a fermentation for
yeah,
sure. But I would say so when we got there, or just prior to us getting there, I'd been doing some research online about online communities and online platforms that were available to foreigners in Korea, and I met up with some people that ran a online platform that was in English. It was called South of Seoul, and it was they really talked about the whole foreigner Korean, you know,
yeah. Attitude.
Melting pot.
experience.
Yeah.
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 And we hit it off online, and come to find out, um, we met once we got to Korea, and come to find out, the founder of that organization had a lot of the same friends as I did on social media. We kept come to find out, I had been living and working in the small town she was raised in the middle of Alaska, and
Oh,
and I knew everybody, including her father, and didn't know her. And it was so, and nobody knows this town. It's just a random little town.
but
Um,
yes, the horse.
Yeah,
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah,
Small world,
yeah.
isn't it? At
So
the end of the day.
she and her assistants and her co-founders were really very integral in getting me kind of outfitted into, integrated into some of the events and like the information. And they were really took me under their wing and really
Cool.
pointed me in directions that I needed to go, and that
Well,
really
and
came down.
things you wouldn't even know, right? I mean,
Oh,
you're a blank slate. You landed it.
it was,
When I moved to Germany, I didn't speak German until about 6 months
then
in.
man,
You,
immigrating is not easy.
no, it's not. And
It is not easy.
at least in Germany, the alphabet letters are the same, so you can work out restaurante.
Yeah,
But
you
in
can you
Korean,
can you can gurgle out the Frau, eine Macher Frau,
right,
but
exactly. But
but
yeah, and
Korean,
where you can't read the alphabet, you can't use an ATM, you can't pay in a taxi, you can't. Right?
there's nothing. There's
No.
nothing. I mean, it's
Wow.
I remember venturing out. I finally got up the guts to get in to drive, and this is like almost a month into being there. And I drove to the first place I drove to was the traditional market there, Tongbak Market. And I remember being so excited to get in there. And I walked about 15, 20 feet into this market, and I was just so overwhelmed. I turned right back around, got in the car, and went right home. And
Wow. We had a
Totally
friend.
unlike me.
I used to be a pop star in Russia, and one of my translators, Savita Purnam, she had never been out of Russia, and we got a visa for her to come to Munich in Germany, where I was living. And same thing, we took her into a food hall in not even a Fortnum and Mason's, but kind of like a big HEB or a big Kroger or something. And
Wow,
she
it's so
crumpled.
overwhelming.
I took her to the bakery, and she crumpled at the knees and literally burst into tears. And I said, "What's
It's
the matter,
yeah.
Savita?" And she said, "Well, how many breads are you allowed to buy?" And I said, "You can buy as many as you've got the money for." And she's like, "Yes, but when you have your
Wow.
ration book, how many breads are they allowed to stamp?" This is in like
Wow.
1996,
Yeah.
Wow.
1991. So yeah,
Wow.
immigrating ain't easy. It really isn't.
It isn't, and I'm really I mean, that's an incredible story, but I'm also curious about this pop star status too. We're gonna have to talk about
Oh,
that. That's I
that's
didn't.
a story for another day,
Yes.
James.
Oh my Lord, that is amazing. I could see that.
I'll send you a spare pair of fishnets, and we'll get together. If you go to ruthmccartney.com, you can see some of it there.
Okay, I'm gonna check
Write that
that out,
down.
man. That's cool.
Down, yeah.
I just thought I should write that down.com, because people keep sending me.
You should write that down. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So you're
But yeah, it's
now you're
hard.
back. Now you're back in Texas, bringing with you this extraordinary Eats Meets West, because Texas is obviously known for barbecue. Korea, to us plebs here, us idiots who don't know the fermentation and is known for barbecue. What's next for you now that you have all of this culinary knowledge from this whole East meets West thing? Where do you hope your next adventure takes you? What's on your wish list?
Well, I'll tell you, man. I've been doing the Texas meets Korean thing for quite so many years now, even before I went to Korea.
Right.
And it's always been kind of a part of my food
Philosophy.
bag of tricks. Yeah. But I've been a kept man for the last 4 years. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow. I mean,
Because of the visa. I have trophy wife status now. No,
Nice.
my wife, because of our visa, I'm not legally allowed to work in Korea unless I go through the proper channels and everything. Now they have been so, so kind to employ me in ways that aren't, employed. They put me on in different ways.
You've done a
And
lot of teaching and
Yeah.
volunteering, mentoring and learning as well, right? I mean,
Right.
there's always a way
Right.
to stay busy, especially with a spirit like yours. I don't see you sitting in the house donning socks and ironing.
No.
Right?
I tried for the first month. It was excruciating. It was excruciating, man. I was just like, oh my God, I gotta. That's what hurled me out into the market when I wasn't ready. But the
experience.
What's that?
What an incredible experience, though, to be able to go somewhere for 4 years, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do culinarily. And I know you've done a lot of learning, but you've also done a lot of teaching and volunteering and those kind of things. That's just a wonderful. God bless your lovely wife. She's gorgeous.
Yeah, I know. I picked the winner, I think, or she picked me, I think. But I think I got the winning end of the stick. So
I think you're both fabulous, and your boys are beautiful too. And what a fabulous experience you've given to your boys for first of all taking them to Europe, and then they growing up partially in Asia. Now they're coming back to Texas. They will have such a greater understanding of the world than most people who just stay in their bubble. So good for you guys. You parents of the year, man.
Thank you. That was always the goal.
Yeah.
What I've taken from it is kind of a side quest, but it was always about the kids.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Ange has a trick question for our closer here.
Yeah. If you could prepare dinner for any 3 people, living or dead, from history, who would they be and what would you serve each of them?
Oh my Lord. Okay, I know we're short on time here, so I'm gonna do my best.
We can.
I would say first and foremost, the first thing that comes to my mind, and I can't just say it's not just one person. I would say my my immediate family that I grew up with would be
Oh,
if I could group them. I've had so many memorable meals with all of them. I would just love to be able to cook for all of them at one sitting and show them what I've learned and what they have instilled within me, and really ask them all the questions that I never got to ask, and get their opinion, and just show them what they've helped create. That's
yeah.
one. The
Right.
second one would be I really there's this woman, this Korean figure from the Joseon dynasty. She was one of the earliest, maybe the first recorded women recorded publishing a cookbook, and she was and I'll butcher her name, but it's something like Jang Hee Hyung, and she was kind of the godmother of recording all of the old Korean foodways and preservation techniques, and the fermenting and the salting, and the jang culture, which is the fundamental sauce culture or preservation culture of Korean cuisine.
Wow.
I would love to cook for her, and I would love to show her what I've learned from what she originally started, and I would love to show her that her legacy is still alive and thriving.
Mhm.
And I would cook for her something from her repertoire and probably butcher it, but I would love to get her critique, and I'd also love to cook something that I've created through her documented knowledge too.
Right.
um, the other one would be, I think, you know, Obama or Bourdain. I think, I love the fact they met in Vietnam and had a
Yes, that
meal and
plastic
yeah,
chairs and drank beer out of bottles.
yeah. I even went there. I went to the place, and I took a pilgrimage there and ate there right where they ate.
Wow.
And I think I would love to cook for either one of those folks.
Mhm.
And try to recreate the buncha they had there at
Yeah.
the restaurant. I think that would, they're both very neat human beings. I respect both of them.
Yes.
Political politics aside, I think, their intelligence and articulate, conversations and
Yep.
speeches, and just they're very, very just like I'm very
Humanity.
I'm an admirer. I'm an admirer.
Well, they care about humanity, I think.
Yeah,
There's transactional people and there's empathetic humanitarian
yeah,
people. And I mean, some people are both. Obviously, there are a lot of rich people who are very, very giving.
sure, sure. I know quite a few.
Yep. Can they lend me $5 till Friday? And
Make it
so
10. Make it 10, please.
make it 10 and you get 10%. Oh, you $1. Um, but that would be interesting to recreate the Obama Bourdain setup. What a thing that was. And the beast pulls up in the pissing rain and they're sitting on
Oh
plastic
man,
chairs
it's a
drinking probably warm beer.
oh my god, dude. Well, that's the thing about Vietnam. You will not drink warm beer. That
Oh,
it is always cold, man. It's
oh,
ice
good.
cold. Yeah, it's
That's good to know.
but Vietnam is one of those places. If you haven't been, and you're curious, go. It's just, the preconceptions of, with the war and all that stuff are, I'm sure that they're underlying somewhere, but just
Well,
not my visits. It was just
no, I
incredible.
mean, when Ange came to Russia with me and Siberia, across Siberia a couple of times when I was doing my pop star thing, and the ordinary people, right?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. The taxi driver who took you there, his wife would invite you back, and she'd have maybe one little sponge cake and an orange and
one
a hard-boiled egg.
and they
Oh,
make
amazing.
they just put it all out in their best
yeah.
dish, their grandma's dishes,
Yeah.
and the way
Amazing.
snacks, and they'd have like 2 slices of last week's ham or whatever, but they would just give it to you.
Yeah.
See,
With their
that's
heart and soul.
Yeah.
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 that's
When you
what
get
that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
That's right. Well, I think that's why, food is really the great equalizer. That's why they say it, breaking bread, right? Every
Yeah,
culture has its version of that. And I
totally
just think
agree.
Thank you, Diana. She's saying such a positive, upbeat program today. Thank you, Ruth Martin, Angie, and Chef James. Yeah, no, everybody's really digging on your positive energy, your love, your vibe.
Oh, I appreciate it, man.
No, it's absolutely fantastic.
And your dishwashing, glass washing, wine glass washing.
Well, you know what? It got me friends for life, and that's all I could ever ask for.
That's true. And,
That's true.
And you should patent the. Martin says you now get a lap dance from Ange.
Oh, yes.
Finally.
Only when we go off the air, though.
Don't tell wifey.
Don't tell
she's been trying to get rid of me for years. It's fine.
Come on down.
Well, so what you don't know, Chef, is Angie is the author of several books, including Mrs. McCartney's Liverpool Limericks and other random Irish haikus. And we put she put pen to paper over the weekend. So if you're sitting comfortably thank you for joining us and spending your valuable time today. We would
my pleasure.
Like to read you your limerick if you're ready. Are you ready?
Very cool. My own limerick?
Your own limerick. Absolutely. Are you ready, madam?
Indeed,
Okay.
yes.
Do you want to count it in? You're flashing your bra strap here. I know what you're trying to do.
Get ready for
Watch out for a day.
I do my stripping on a Zimmer frame now.
A walking frame.
A walking frame.
But it's all blinged out. Yeah, Zimmerstrip.com.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Chef Canter is stateside from Seoul, unmistakably still on a roll.
He's here from Korea to meet friends he holds dear,
and he
gives every dish heart and soul.
Ta-da!
Wow. Wow. I love it. That's amazing.
Very good.
That was fabulous.
I see what you did with the soul thing too. That's really
Joel and so on. Yeah,
I like that. That's incredible. Thank you.
That's fabulous. Well, thank you, Chef, so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Been a very pleasant experience.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Go find out all about Chef on Facebook. And coming soon, I'm very proud to announce that he is joining the family at McCartneyStudios.com as one of our esteemed chefs. When you go back to Korea, you can be our Manchurian candidate over there.
I am he. He is me. Let's do this. The three.
Indeed. Now we have this video. We will have a lot of media. We'll be building that page this week, and I will post all about it on the in the interwebs. And if you're watching on YouTube, please do. If you enjoyed this, it costs nothing. Go down and hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. We will see you next Tuesday, all of a sudden. So keep your corkscrews handy, keep your kettles boiling, and we will see you all of a sudden.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies McCartneys.
All right, darling. Thank you, Chef.
Thanks for tuning in to TeaFlix, and check out Dr. Angie's books, Organic Teas and CBD at mrsmccartneysteas.com. Toodle pip.